Here we go. Again, we thank y'all, everybody, for joining us today. We got another one of the good coaches from around town. We got Coach Brandon Thomas. Thank you for joining us today, Coach.
No doubt.
One of my good brothers. Let me give a little 2 second about Coach Thomas. I don't ever really even remember playing against Coach when we was little. We graduated the same year. However, I met Coach at the end of the season, right? Going into our 12th grade year was over. We was going into the All-Star game, right? So we was having All-Star practices. You know, everybody looking to go to school, everybody looking to move forward, right? I'm like, who was this little nigga keep smiling, man? This nigga's a cool little nigga, man. And I'm like, you know, like he kind of like grew me up a little bit, right? In a short period of time that I was around him, you know, I got a better understanding of, you know, what I considered the other side, right? At that point, right? Brandon, you know, we gonna let him get into it a little bit, but you know, he's from the other side of town, right?
He's
you know,
Baltimore.
in our town, you know, that's like Bloods and Crips, you know, when you're playing against each other. So you know, being around this guy, man, he kind of grew me up in a short period of time. And said, you know, it's some pretty good guys on that side of town, right? You know, outside of, you know, playing, you know, when we competing, you know, we at each other like dogs and cats. But like I said, he grew me up in a short period of time. And, you know, ever since then, this has been my guy, man. So I'm glad to have you here today, good brother.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you for blessing us today with your presence.
Yeah.
All right, so that's me. So you gonna let us know who you are, Coach. You know what you're doing. You know what team you or what program you may represent or have you.
Yeah. So, man, basketball to me in Baltimore is definitely a fraternity, man. Like, you know, been playing the game for a long time. You know, definitely made my mark in high school, college, some pro ball. This last stint, and after that, of course, turned to coaching. You know, coach AU just about everywhere. From Be More Finest to Team Orange to Thrill to Team Mellow. So, you know, just kind of just growing and evolving, and that all led me to high school, where I started off at Reginald F. Lewis. You know, I honestly say, you know, when you're playing the game, you never think you're going to coach the game. You know, especially as a point guard, a knowledgeable point guard as yourself, you know, you really, I've been around some greats. You know, I got some good coaching from some greats, man. And, you know, I took that and just kind of turned it into my coaching style and what I wanted to do. So ended up, when my first stint in high school was at Reginald F. Lewis, which was, it used to be my old school, which was Northern. And I was there for 4 years. Just came in, I actually got tricked into coaching high school. You know, the coach there was Coach Dawson, asked me to come. He was like, man, I just need you to work with the kids a little bit for me. I see you up here practicing with your AAU team. And I was like, all right, I'll work on some skill work. That turned into me getting a coaching shirt and turned into me, I need you to coach the JV for me, which turned into, you know, I got a passion and love for this high school thing. And as time went on, you know, had some great success at Reginald F. Lewis with those kids, built some great bonds, which in turn had Locke Raven give me a call at doing their homework on me and asked me to take over the program. And it was, we had a great, successful 8-year run up there, man. Is made some great memories. Went to 4 consecutive regional championships. Won 2 of them. Ended up being, in the most humble way, put the most winningest coach in school history, most wins in school history. And we took a 2 and 18 program in the first year, and we went 11 and 10. And then from there, you know, sky was the limit. You know, ranked in the Baltimore Sun 6 out of 8 years. You know. Don't need to go through all the stats, but man, most importantly, the bonds and accomplishments of the kids, you know, getting to the next level under my leadership there is probably the happiest thing that I'm about during that tenure there, man.
This ain't the humble show, Coach. this ain't the humble show, Coach. Yeah, we talking on here, man. We ain't kind of be
no
humble
doubt,
today,
no
man.
doubt,
You know,
no
so,
doubt.
Hey, man, 6 out of 8. Hey, man, we talking. We DJ Duke today, man. We talking heavy, man.
Run it up.
Showing up, man. So yeah, again, we'd like to thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, you know, before we go into all of the great things you've done, you know, on your coaching journey, let's go back. You know, we like to go back. We got to go back. Man.
Absolutely.
Again, man, I just met you in 12th grade. So
Right.
let's go back. When was the first time, you remember gracing your presence on the court?
Man, the first time, man, I tell you, I can tell you when I actually fell in love with basketball, man. I was living with my mom. I was like 5 years old, and I remember us living on a street called Lemon Street over West Baltimore, right? So I got some West Baltimore ties.
Okay.
I met Mike and them because predominantly a lot of my family is from West. I lived on Poplar Grove and Mosier for a minute as well too.
Okay.
So actually we was on Lemon Street, and there was some dudes outside, and they were just shooting the basketball at the rim. It was a crate. They had a crate up on a pole, and I was like, man, let me go out here. I would wait till they all left. You know what I mean? They go out there. They used to always hide the ball under these little rocks. So I used to see him put the ball over there. So I used to go over there, take the ball under the rock, and just go play on the crate until one day two of them came. They see me, I had that ball. I'm hooping on that crate. When I'm they're a little older. So they like, oh man, you cool. So I hate when I seen him. I took him, ran, tried to put the ball back under the rock. But they ended up being my homeboys, Mario and Mike, but they were a little older. So, hey, no, man, come out here and hoop with us. So I'm like, all right, I looked at my mother. She was like, go ahead. So that turned into like, I really love this game, And from there, I can tell you that's the day and the time that I fell in love with basketball. And then God knows where the development came is. I moved up Northeast Baltimore near Chickapin Park, near Northwood Drive and Northern Parkway up there. And Leaf Walk, man. Leaf Walk is really where I got my nuts and bolts from. You know what I mean? Everybody in that Northeast community, I say, are like brothers, So, but when I say we went Leaf Walk, man, we was at war in there. Every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Jeffrey Tarter League, Jahi Jordan League, stuff like that. So that was kind of like that was where the grind happened. You know what I mean? So, man.
Who's some of those guys in there with you?
Man, Dantes Dean, Arnold Bowie, Gary, Muhammad and them was in there. It's so many. I don't even want to leave nothing out,
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're a hooper, you definitely touched ground at Leaf Walk during that time. You know what I mean? Like Mark Cautious and them in the world. They were older, but I remember just seeing them, hoop, and I was like, this is where is all this skill and this handle and this shooting that I'm working on. Is it good or isn't it? And that's where you found out at. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, that crossover that worked down at the park don't work in here. I gotta do something else.
Right.
You know what I mean? To add it up. But and I think that's one of those places where it's a lot of people that don't, didn't make it or was as known on the hoop scene, but with some good talent in there. You know what I mean? Dudes made other decisions, whether that was the streets or whatever, but they could bounce that ball though. So yeah, that was cool, man. That's the essence. That's where it all started.
Okay. Okay. So what about what age was that?
I say that was all the way up into probably about like 12, because I think that's when I got into like AAU. It's probably like 13.
So you saying you moved over Leaf Walk at 12?
Oh no, I moved in by Leaf Walk probably I was like 5, 6 years old.
Oh, I was about to say, yeah, we claiming you then.
12,
you 12, you West.
Yeah, West Baltimore. But the crazy thing is, when I was living on Poplar Grove and Mosier, I would go over there every summer. The court used to be over there by Lafayette, right there behind the school. So I would walk from Mosier over there, and just hoop over there. I'd be over there during the summer with my mom. We just go around there and hoop, and then down on Raina and at the bottom of Raina and anything that. But they had redid the court down there, so we go down there and hoop too.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that was it. And then I say at 13 was my first like AAU stints. That's when the Cecils and Olivers started coming in. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh, these dudes travel. It's a little different. So you know what I mean? I want to see what this is right here.
Right. Okay. So I'm learning with some of the coaches. Some of us have it, some of us don't.
Mm-hmm.
If you do, who would you say would be your sensei? That coach that reeled you in, got you, what you needed to be, them handles, or gave you that world famous blue or green contract.
Yeah. I say, but you want to know something, man? It's so many coaches that were inspirational to me, whether it be Baseline, that's at Patterson now. I think, man, he put us through the toughest practice I ever been through at Cecil. You know what I mean? It was like literally at Cecil trials, it was probably about, and it's no exaggeration, probably like 60, 70 kids. They won a trial. We ain't touch a ball. And it was like, damn. Like, next practice, it was 11 of us. You know what I mean? So it was like...
he did his job.
Yo, you had West Baltimore cats in there, East Baltimore. You're like, oh, I played against that. We ain't touch a ball, bro. We ain't touch a ball. And, that's one of the coaching styles I got. And he told us, he was like, yeah, you see me cut that shit down. You know what I mean? We want dogs only. If you ain't got the heart for it. And I'm like, oh, all right. And so I always tap back in the base, see what he got going on, But I will say, if one of my favorite two coaches, I can't say one, but two guys I still talk to this day, and pick their brain is Roger Dickens and Pumpkin Carter from up BCCC. You know what I mean? Like, man, what they did for me as a point guard, as a person, in developing a mindset, man, they just had it. They had it. You know what I mean? Whether it was like developing you, from the understanding game. I think we all could hoop. I had this skill set that kind of like got me by in high school with just skill. You could hoop. But the level of thinking the game, man, you get around to Roger Dickens, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. So much so, I thought one practice, he just kept fucking with me. You know what I mean? And I make a move, make a good play. You know what I mean? Make a good bucket, and he'd stop practice and be like, man, why you do that? And I'm like, oh, I seen this and that. He like, all right, you know what I mean? Make another good play, he'd stop practice. Ain't messing nobody else. I'm like, why you do that? And I say, why you, you get upset. I'm like, why you keep fucking with me? Why you keep messing with me? He say, little nigga, I'm trying to get you to think the game. Mm-hmm. He said, you got the right answers. I want to make sure you thinking the fucking game. And I'm like, oh, damn, he challenged me on another level. It ain't just skill set. He really wants me to understand the rhyme and reason that I'm doing everything I'm doing. So, man, I would definitely say till this day, Roger Dickens and Pumpkin Carter. Carter was just like a dad figure. He was the enforcer. You know what I mean? So you ain't buck back because, 6'7" with hands. You know what I mean? He kept everything in order in there. Coach back. Right. He kept everything in order in there. Yeah, but, I say by, man, a couple games in, man, they were... they call me their son. Both of them call me their son, man. So, it is a testimony to the relationship that I had with them. They come up, watch my games at Lock Raven, used to give me their notes. Like, yeah, man, this kid right here, this. I'm like, all right, coach, I got you. You know what I mean? But it's just nothing but love and respect there. Yeah.
Next time you talk to Coach Carter,
Uh-huh.
Tell him answer the phone, man.
Man,
come on, man. Hey, Coach, answer the phone, baby. Come on, baby.
Man, Carter something else, man.
On,
He's something else. But one thing you might not know is he had a major heart attack. He had a major heart attack, and he was down for a minute. So I was calling him for a minute too, and I seen Raj, and Raj was like, "Oh yeah, he down right now." So I was trying to get in contact with him, but he made it through. Everything good, man. And so if it was during that span of time, I know he was down for a little bit. But yeah, man, his family doing well. He's still himself. Yeah. Still pumping Carter, man.
Yeah, I gotta get Coach on here to go back with Coach Dickens for real. So
that'll
be our part 2. We got part 1 out of the way.
Oh yeah, that's love. That's love, man.
I get it. So if you could, we're gonna take this time. We're gonna go to camera B. Mm-hmm. We're gonna tell Coach Carter and Coach Raj, the things that they've done for us and how we appreciate them.
Raj, Carter, y'all know y'all my guys, man. I will definitely say, man, what y'all have done for me as a man, and a young man, and showing me what the essence of being a responsible man is, and just being just viable resources. Whether it ain't basketball all the time. Just sometimes it was our conversations with life, and introducing me to basketball on another level. I appreciate y'all, man. I love y'all, and I can never tell y'all enough, how much I love and appreciate y'all, man. Absolutely.
Already. Shout out to Coach Dickens and Coach Carter.
Yep.
Okay, Coach. I know you grew up in the Northeast side of town. Mm. Was that what led into your decision to go to Regional F/Northern?
Well, actually, nah, man. Actually, when I was at Chickapin, one of my favorite teachers there was Mr. Badham. And Mr. Badham he was at McDonough at the time and ended up being a varsity coach at Dunbar. And Mr. Badham was like, yeah, Brandon, you coming down Dunbar? And I'm like, nah, I ain't going down Dunbar. Because as a player, at that point in time, Dunbar was like, Dunbar. It's like, nah, I want to play. You know what I mean? Right. Like, so I don't got I want to be on JV 2 years and then varsity 2 years as a athlete and a competitor, I'm like, I want to go to varsity now. You know, that was our goal. You know, you get the next, I want to be varsity now. And Mr. Bad was like, no, you going to Dunbar. And he ended up being the head coach down Dunbar. So I'm like, no. The next best thing to Dunbar, you know, at that time, you know, I was talking to Baseline and them, you know, Cecil guys went to Lake, you know, so I ended up going to Lake Clifton. You know, I remember watching Kevin Broswell, and I was like, yo, I love his game. Yeah, I loved everything about KB game. So my 9th grade year, I went to Lake, and you know, just got to see the Mike Kings, Kevin Broswell. So I'm like, yo, they elite. Like this was elite guard play. What's so funny about that is, as a competitor, you look around, you're like, oh, they got another year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't going to be up on varsity. I ain't going to make it up there either. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was this a coach from Northern at the time, Nard, which is my guy. And at the time, I actually thought he was the head coach. He like, man, you come up here, I'm telling you, we got this and we doing this and this and this. And I'm like, all right, you know, I knew my homeboys and them was up there. And my aunt, she didn't want me to go to Northern because most of my friends went there. She was like, no, you won't get in trouble. You know, I had good grades and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, I want to go up there. I talked to the coach. Coach want me to come up there, you know, this, that, and the other. I'm like, all right. So then I was like, you know, I was uncertain, but there's another guard. My friend to this day, Mike Scott, he was transferring from Southern up to Northern at the same time. And he ended up going to Eastern Kentucky as well, too. So when Mike Scott said, you know, Mike Scott was going up there, I saw the team. Then I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, oh, this might work out. My homeboy Champ, God rest his soul, he was up there, and I'm like, oh, this might be all right, you know. So yeah. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead up there. So I ended up going up Northern, and you know, everything kind of that's kind of how it played out. You know, at the beginning, you know, I was just like, it was from like an educational standpoint. You know, my family was like, no, you ain't going to Northern. You know, but when you actually got there, you know, the programs that they had, my aunt was unaware of and stuff like that. They had the gifted and talented, and did help me get college scholarships and all of that type of stuff too. So it was definitely a bad stereotype of the school from an educational standpoint.
From the outside.
Yeah, from the outside. But once you got in there, everybody that was doing shit and fighting and doing all that, I knew all of them. You know what I mean? So I ain't never, you know, getting to know nothing. You know, I ain't all the knuckleheads. They was like the homeboys. You know, so much so that I had homeboys fighting homeboys. So it was just like, if you was a hooper, it was like, ain't nobody really mess with you. You wasn't into it, you know. So it was what it was. You know?
Okay. I gotta back you up a little bit.
You
said when you came from where? Chicopee?
Yeah.
My good brother. Man, so I've been having to talk with some of the guys about middle school. You know, we go over some of the career.
Yeah.
But the middle school, I just finished with Coach London.
Okay, Mount Royal.
Right, that's right. So
yeah.
Coach London and myself attended Mount Royal.
Right.
So Coach London, just now refreshing my memory about something, he said that he was glad to get Chicopee back because he lost to him in the 7th grade. Was you on that squad?
No. The funny thing about Chicopee, right? At that time, I thought that like AAU ball and rec ball was like better than middle school ball. You know, so Officer Wheeler, well, Coach Wheeler, he was a coach on that team. So I remember my 8th grade year, you know, I was one of those where we talk about like AAU type of mindsets. I had already been playing with my coach, you know, at AAU, and they like, nah, man, we playing in this, playing in that, playing in this. So I'm like, all right, man, I ain't playing rec ball. You know what I mean? Middle school ball. I'm like, I'm playing the rec. You know, but then I started noticing, oh, everybody playing middle school ball. You know what I mean? So when we got back to it, he was like, oh, no, you ain't want to come out, this, that, and the other. Like, you know, so it was like one of those things. And then I think I don't think nobody really started taking it serious until like 7th grade. You know what I mean? So to make a long story short, I was like, no, I was still in a rec mentality. Like, you know, we gonna play rec ball. We playing all these leagues and stuff like that. So no, I ain't end up, you know, playing. But however, what was funny is we had like we did this thing where it was like a little showcase game. Every year it's like, you know, they had like, Will and them had their team, and it was other people that hooped in the school and stuff like that. So we did this like little game that we would play every year around like springtime. So we ended up playing in the game, and that's where Coach Badham seen me playing the game. Like, boy, you ain't playing? You coming down Dunbar. You know what I mean? So I started like working out with him and stuff like that. So he was like, why you ain't play? I was like, man, I ain't even know. I ain't think middle school basketball was that serious. I thought rec ball was here in middle school was under
Coach Banham. Yeah, I remember that when he was announcing the names.
Yeah,
Coach Banham.
Yeah. Good dude, man. Great dude. Great dude. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when we went from Lake to Northern. Was that your sophomore year?
No, my freshman year.
Oh, so you left mid-season?
No, at the end, as soon as I left, probably I want to say maybe April.
Okay.
Yeah. Transferred out like April.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you went straight that next year to varsity?
Up Northern.
Yeah.
Played probably about so with Nard, I thought Nard was the varsity coach. He was the JV coach.
Mm.
You know, these times like, man, you're a varsity, you'll be varsity up here. So literally played probably 4 games on JV. Probably about 4 games on JV. And after that it was varsity after that. So my sophomore year, at those 4 games was varsity the rest of the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did that turn out? You walked in the gym with the big boys now?
Yeah. Man, I think honestly, man, it was cool, man. I think I had the I ain't gonna say think, I know I had the skill set to be able to compete at the varsity level. And I wasn't like a little arrogant little dude. It just was like, I was just used to playing. If you can imagine, I was used to playing with the Dantes Deans of the world, the Beanie Bird, my dog. They was St. Francis was ranked. I'm used to being in the gym with Mark and Fonzo and those type of guys. I'm like, all right, if I could, play with them and just kind of hold my own. I know I ain't gonna be better than them right now, but if I can kind of like get up and down with those guys, this should be light. That was my mentality. So it was kind of like from the varsity coach in Northern, Coach Holmes, good guy. He was like, it was like a prove it type of thing. I want to see you in the game setting. You can do this in practice. I want to see you in the game setting. And I remember my last JV game that's how I know we played like 4. So it's the 4th game I ended up playing. We was playing against Southern. He was like, well, since Brandon's so good, let's see him do it against somebody, because we got Southern. So we played Southern. I ended up having like 26 that game. JV was like, I didn't even get to the locker room. He's like, all right, varsity practice tomorrow. So that was like, it was like from there, it was like, it was cool. But it was good. I'll say that we had Dante Penix. He was like an all-metro player. Rookie at the time. Mike Scott was there, Antron. We had a lot of good. We had some dogs, and they made it easy. As a sophomore, all you gotta do is get these guys the ball for them to do whatever they need to do. You know what I mean? I say I probably didn't get the saying like scoring becoming a thing probably until I got to my junior year. But you just want to see your name in the paper.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like hold on.
And then lunch table.
Right. And I don't want to be here with 2. I want to be in the top something. You know what I mean? I want to have a 10 or 11 points. You know what I mean? Like that's cool. You know what I mean? But we had some real good success up there, man. We was again ranked in the Sun. We made history at Northern. I know we got as high as ranked number 8 in all metro. I mean, the Sun rankings back then was like you had to be good.
It was everything.
Yeah, you had to be good. So we got high as ranked as number 8 my 11th grade year. That team was crazy. So Lake Tion and them went on to win the championship my junior year. They beat us by 3. Everybody else they blew out.
The city?
They won the whole states. Lake Clifton won the whole states that year. But Tion Curl was there, and they beat us when I was at Northern. My 11th grade year, but they beat us by like 3.
Mm.
Yeah, so we had it. We just, if you ask me, it was coaching. yeah. But that's my guy. But
that's what all the players say.
Yeah. That's my guy. I mean, you up 7 with realistically as a mature coach now, being in that situation, you up 7, minute 30, you gotta go into some type of ball stall. You know what I mean? Some type, and not say you stalling all the way out, but a 3-possession game. You know what I mean? Minute 30, you gotta go into a ball stall. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, and shout out to Coach Tree. That's one of my dogs that he did what he needed to do for them to come out with that win at game 2, and that's what makes him legendary.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. A minute 30 down 7.
Yeah. I'd rather not talk about it. Next question.
Okay. So moving on to that senior season.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, that's where I met you. At the end. What was this season like for your senior season?
Man, it was good, man. I think one of the things that made it good is a lot of the guys that we had my junior year were seniors. You know what I mean? So a lot of that dependency on scoring was on those guys. You know what I mean? So I think my senior year, I got to really, experience what it's like to be dependent on.
Be the man.
Yeah. Like, you take this on and really be influential on whether or not y'all win or lose this game. You know what I mean? So it kind of gave me a different perspective. And it's so funny, I was having this conversation with my son, him going into his senior year, and I said, you got to understand that your role changed. You know what I mean? I didn't have nobody to tell me that my role was changing. Is you go from being little brother to now you the big brother. You know what I mean? Now you got to take these guys under your wing and tell them, like, not even just on court stuff, like how to operate. Make sure you got your grades so you pass so you don't fail off. We was all eating chicken box, so I can't even say that we was killing chicken box. But just like, not right before the game, let's get to that. You kind of like big brother now. Now on the floor where you not as vocal as years before, your senior year, now you got to be super vocal because it's just like, okay, you got to realize that I'm evolving, and now I'm the big brother. Now I got to take everybody under my wing, and if I want to have success,
right.
And that year was, I think it was, looking back at it, it was a couple times I was contemplating about transferring, because that previous summer, I was playing at Oliver, and I was playing with Todd Galloway at the time. That was at City, and it was a good summer. You know what I mean? I was like, well, shit, we might do this during the fall. You know what I mean? When we get to school ball, I had a conversation with Wade, and I just wanted to be back around the homeboys, man. And now
Thank God. Thank God. Homeboys, we appreciate y'all. That would have been ugly, man.
But it was crazy because looking back at it now, if I had somebody that had that conversation with me, it was like, the homeboys gonna always be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, the skill set that you have, go be explorative with it, and give yourself opportunities. Then you'll give yourself opportunities, So, I wouldn't call it a regret because everything happened for a reason. You know what I mean? It definitely like grew me up and matured me being in that situation.
Right.
But I watched Todd and them go off, and I'm like, dang, you know what I mean? Like, this is what it could have been. You know what I mean? But it is what it is.
Yeah. It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah.
But you definitely did your thing that year, so It is what it is. Like you said, when you went to Northern, you got to get into the gifted program.
Yeah.
Right? So, that senior year, everybody was, what school you going to? What's the letters looking like? What I'm gonna do next year? We was in kind of scramble mode, and at the time when I met you, I was super scrambling.
Yeah.
Like, where you going at next year? Well, I got a visit to go over here. We gonna go over here.
right.
But nobody really had a solid take on where they were going at, right?
Yeah.
So take me through that process with the recruiting. What do I like this letter, or am I receiving letters? Take me through that. Take us through that.
Craziest thing in the world, man. When I remember getting like discouraged my senior year, because here it is, you playing AAU, you playing these tournaments, you doing all this stuff, and I'm like, yo, we ain't got where the letters come. Like, what's the next step? Just not having that guidance on what the next step is. And one of the coaches in my high school, he always thought it was a good strategy to withhold letters. You know what I mean? So you ain't get too big headed. You this that and other. So when I finally got the letters, I was like, oh, these letters dated back at the beginning of the year. Like, you know what I'm saying? We at the end of it. And he's like, we gonna set up these workouts. Man, nothing coming through this and the other. So a real good guy named Coach Daniels. Coach Daniels is now at Newtown. He hit me and was like, hey man, I talked to the coach down at Bowie. It might be an option for you. Let's go down here. So I was like, all right, cool. Hopped in. He took me down Bowie, worked out. Everything went real well. I started signing, my form, my financial aid. They take me through. I didn't even know what financial aid was at that point. You know what I mean? So it's just like he taking me through the clearinghouse stuff. We doing all this in one sitting, So, everything went well. I'm like, all right, cool. This grade be the move, Come back home 2 weeks later, found out I got a baby on the way. So I'm like, what? So it's my daughter Bree. This is my baby, which is now 25 now. Hold on, Bree 25? Yeah, 25. She's 25.
Yeah, Bree.
So found out I got a daughter on the way, man. So that turned into the way I grew up without my dad. So I was like, oh no, I didn't know that Bowie was right down the street. I felt like we took a ride, and I said, nah, I'm gonna be here for her. I'm gonna make sure I'm there, I'm present, I'm a dad. So I told that to Daniels, and a very non-judgmental guy, man. He understood. He was like, all right, well, let me see if we can get you some other options. You know what I mean? So he took me up BCCC, and I'm like, all right, cool, I just want to play and be in college. You know what I mean? So I didn't know JUCO was as thick as it was. So I'm like, man, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to kill this JUCO. I'm going to run through, you know what I mean? Like, ain't nobody tell me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I'm going to go up there. I'm going to go for 40 up here. So long story short, I went up there and met with Raj. The first thing he did, grabbed my arm. He said, man, you're a little small, ain't you? So I said, no, I got a big game, though. You know what I mean? So I remember him joking back and forth. He was like, man, I hope you make the team. Like, make the team? Like, no, I ain't even supposed to be. I was supposed to be down there, But long story short, my first practice, I walk in the gym, it's Earl Carr, it's Kev, it's 7-foot Nico, Zonk, we got an All-American, Jimmy Moore, BJ, God rest his soul, man, Iran, man, Dupree, and I'm like, I get on the phone with my brother at, I think, the first practice. I said, man, he got a motherfucking grown men in here. I said, yo, didn't BJ graduate with Nut in them? I was working out with Nut in them over the summer, and this is like, Nut is one of the, I spent the whole summer with Nut and Stink, just being around them, just wanting to be a better point guard. You know what I mean? So every league they played in, I was right there with them. But I remember BJ being with them, and I'm like, yo, how he here? And he didn't graduate about 3-4 years ago. But that's how college worked. So, but when I say that team right there, man, took me under their wing, and that was like, I was definitely a little bro. I was only one of 2 high school kids on that team. Everybody else was, Earl and them had graduated, they had been out for a minute. But that team was a dog team, bro. Dog team. And it was just great memories made in there. But yeah, that was kind of like, and that's kind of like how I ended up at BCCC. But it molded me. That molded me for the next steps of what my college career would look like, and what my playing pro ball would look like. Yeah.
Okay. So that was the trial. So coach, so you made it through the trial.
Yeah.
Okay. So take us through that first. Take us to that first matchup when I got a matchup with Earl, when I got a matchup with BJ. Take us through those 2 matchups.
Man, I'm going to tell you, man. So it's this drill that I do, and Raj call it the guard separator. Like, whether or not you can handle the ball and then separate the guards. So you are between the sideline and the up line of the free throw line. So you get change direction in there, but you can't go into the paint. So you got to get down the court. You got to beat this guard that's in front of you down the court, not lose the ball, can't get stripped, no, none of that. And so you start off inbounds, you check it up. They in your chest, you got to touch them. And, of course, my first matchup, BJ. I'm with Jimmy Moore, All-American, dude averaging 40. And I'm like, yo, he walked up to me, just like, yo, I got B. I'm like, why you cut there? You know what I mean? There's other little guards in here. I'm like, he come over, put the ball in my chest like I got B. So I'm like, oh, man. So I remember I, tried jab, and I'm like, I'm going to just try to sprint past him. Too quick for that. So I tried to sprint past, change right, he plucked it. So I was like, all right, it's cool, go down. I stayed in front of him pretty well. Come down again, kind of bump my hip, pluck it. I said, damn, like, it's 2 of them here. They told me, and then it started actually getting in my mind, like, shit, like, you know what I mean? Like, if he the starting guard, like, I ain't going to get in front of him if yo just keep plucking it. So we come back again. I kind of just beat him this time. On the 3rd time I beat him. He's like, that's good. But the next practice, I remember that being on my mind so much. And Earl ain't match up with me too much. It was like, BJ kept coming to me, And I remember going home and I'm thinking like, yo, I can't, as a competitor, I'm like, I can't let this nigga ever strip me again. Like, I can't let it happen. So I went home. I remember, like, in my mind mentally saying, when we get to this particular drill, I got to have a good counter for when he trying to, like, pluck from here. You know what I mean? So Carter doing that practice, he said, Shorty, you got to get that chicken wing in there. And I'm like, fuck is the chicken wing? You know, the chicken wing is when you get to somebody and they're getting close and you change direction, you gotta chicken wing them to be able to change direction for when they overplaying. So, you know, I'm like, all right, I might gotta get the chicken wing in there. So, you know, as we going to stop that pluck, I would go into his chest a little bit. So I go into his chest to chicken wing him, and then I change. I'm like, oh shit, we beating BJ down the court? We good. We good. And I remember, you know, once we kind of got through that, they kind of got everybody out of there quick as far as cutting the numbers down. And once we got the 5-on-5, playing against him every day made the game so easy. Because when I would start playing against other guards, you know, they wasn't as strong. They couldn't shoot. Yeah, they couldn't press me 94 feet. I had got so used to pressing up on him and him pressing up on me that during the game it felt weird because I'm like, yo, this guard ain't playing defense. Because we so used to going at each other's neck that it was like, oh, this is light. You know, it was light. So yeah, we was just iron sharpens iron in there, you know, and I really modeled my game at the Nut and BJ. Watching them two, it was like, that's how I want to play. I want to play just like them two. Yeah.
If I can recall, BJ probably averaged 30.
Oh, BJ averaged 40.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
He averaged 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he went crazy.
Yeah.
BJ went crazy.
That 1-2 matchup out that Baltimore.
What? Come on now. Yeah. That was the play right there. Baltimore.
We're gonna get it for you.
Yeah. Zonk came on. I remember Zonk came on our second half. He was spending the first semester getting his grades right. He came on second half. Came on the scene and went crazy. Yeah.
About 30 and 20.
Man,
that was the first Kevin Love I ever seen.
Man, Zonk, man, and still put it in the hole. Till this day, Zonk still put it in the hole, man. But when I say, and it's crazy because during my freshman year, when I tell you like the bond that me and Zonk have now was built on that freshman year. So you know I was living over Northeast Baltimore. I still was over Northeast BCC all the way over West. Zonk was living down on North Avenue in Patterson Park. Man, at the school, I was going down to Zonk's house, stay the night, you know what I mean, take my clothes. And I remember I got snowed in down there, all that, you know what I mean? But Zonk really looked out, you know what I mean? But was buying lunches. Zonk was getting to the paper, so, you know what I mean? Zonk was just really looking at me. And BJ, anytime we traveled, that was my roommate. He'd be like, Brandon in the room with me. I got Brandon, I got B-Dub. You know, so, yeah, that was, man, that team right there, that team forever have a special place in my heart, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, how did the playoffs turn out with that team, with that first year?
So that year we lost in the you know the Maryland JUCO, where it's like you got the Alleghenies, all that Cecil, all that. So we lost in the JUCO championship for the Maryland Conference JUCO, and we made our way to the regional championship. Knocked off two ranked teams. Cecil was at that time ranked like number 2 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Knocked off Cecil to get to Beaver, and we played Beaver in the championship, and we lost we were again one of those late games. The Battle led the whole game, man. Ended up losing to Beaver, I think by like 3 or 4. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And the sad part about that is I think that if they all would have returned, it'd have been good. I know that final year I redshirted, but that was kind of like, you know how JUCO went, like played redshirted, played, and that was the mentality. Everybody, we're gonna play redshirt, play again, but yeah, everybody started doing their own things, you know, doing their own things. I think Earl and Kev, they stayed and played the final year. They ain't even redshirt.
Yeah, they played.
Yeah. So they stayed and played the next year. That's when Boo. I still come to the games. JT, Boo, Donald was up there. So I was watching. Like I watched. So when we played, so even though I was in my redshirt year, I still came into the games. You know what I mean? Watch all y'all. So yeah, that and then so the year that I came back and played, that's when we had like Will, Turk. We had Marcus. Marcus that used to be in Mervo. Yeah. Marcus was crazy, but that team was good too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we lost a game before the regional with that team. Yeah. But Marcus failed off. So
yeah, I'm about to say, because I remember at one point Will was the center.
Yeah. Oh my God, Will was the center.
When Marcus fell off.
Yeah,
man, Will went to a different level.
Oh yeah. Will went crazy.
Yeah, Will went to a different level.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, he became a whole different player, man.
You know, it's crazy because I always felt like Will had it in him, but Joe was just reserved. Like,
Right.
Will, until this day, Will just be
Right.
quiet. He
Yeah.
just chill Will. You know what I mean? But yeah, he started going ape shit. When Marcus fell dog, yeah, Will started going crazy. Yeah.
Shout out to Will, man.
Yeah, my dog.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to fast forward a little bit back into the coaching ranks.
Mm-hmm.
You said that they tricked you into coaching.
Yeah.
Kinda, sorta.
Yeah.
Right. So, when was your first year? Oh, no. Let me ask you this. When they offered you the position, was there any reservation? Did you think that maybe I should wait? Maybe I can, this may be for me, maybe not. What was your thoughts when they offered you the head coach position?
I think initially the game plan at Reginald was I was under Coach Duke. I was there with Duke by that time, and Duke was like, "All right, Brandon, I'm gonna hand this all to you. I'm gonna hand it off to you." And I was like, which was cool. I was good with that. And I was all right with being an Indian. You know what I'm saying? I think in order to be a good chief, you gotta be a good Indian. So and Duke was always open to my suggestions about offensive schemes. What we do defensively, how we play a team. Never one of those coaches were like, "Oh, I got it." He was like, "Oh, I ain't see that." And would employ it. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, I think right here we should run this. To take advantage of this opportunity. That the other teams present or whatever. He'd be like, "Oh, all right." So really, really open to that. And what happened is when they reached out to me from Lock Raven, the funniest thing in the world is I used to hoop at the court, like right next to the school all the time. When they say Lock Raven, I'm like, where the school at? Like, so they like, "Oh man, it's located up by Cromwell Bridge, 695. I'm like, "Oh dang, I used to hoop out there all the time. I thought that was a middle school or something. I didn't even know it was a high school. So when I went there, they was like, "Yeah, we had reached out, trying to turn this basketball program around." As the AD Mike and the principal at the time, and they was like, "Man, your name came back to us a couple of times. Would you be interested?" And almost felt like I was like betraying, Duke and them by even taking the interviews. I went to them first, like, "Hey man, y'all all right with me talking to these people?" They like, "Yeah man, it's an opportunity." You know what I mean? They was like, "But they probably want their own people up there." And I'm like, "Nah, they called me." So when I went up there, I just kind of knew I didn't want to take over the success of someone else. I wanted to, one of my greatest strengths is being restorative, so I wanted to take something that was broken, or take something that somebody said isn't going to be successful, can't have success. Like, I wanted to show that it can, so that's kind of what my biggest attraction to that particular job was. And they had only won 2 games. And I was like, you know what? I want to show what I could do with nothing, So that was my motivation, man. And when I got there, my main question to the principal at that time, which was Principal Holmes, was, what was it that she was trying to get from the basketball program and the kids out of the basketball program? And she said for them to be successful human beings. And whatever that takes from us to support you and do, beyond just basketball, we're willing to do it. And that won me right there. So I was like, "Oh, you care about the kids," So, yeah, I mean, it was supposed to have been an interview, but I say probably an hour into the interview, they giving me keys, showing me the locker room, and all that. And I remember it was candidates. It was a couple more people that was there for an interview that was sitting outside. They just, so he went off with me. He was like, "Man, I get to them." So I was like, at that point, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm that guy," so it was cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The success that you had at Lock Raven, like you said, 6 out of the 8 years you was ranked, 4 straight regionals, appearances, and just different kids going on to college and those type of things. What would you say was the most fulfilling thing about the job over at Lock Raven?
Man, we have this saying that I incorporated when I first got there, and it's family over everything. Family, we put slash everything. And I say that, I would love to say like the accomplishments on the court, but it's like the family that I built up there. It warms my heart that when we have a senior night and kids that from my first year, from even years prior to me even being there, that's came back, and I'm, welcoming them with open arms to let them be a part of this thing, is where senior night you see everybody there. Like, my son Brian is graduating, and it's a senior night for him, and it's somebody that Charles that graduated in 2018, and somebody that graduated in 2015, and the alumni like Dan Lottie, he graduated back in like 99, but they all feel a part of this bond, a family. And those kids, they all hang together, they stick by each other. You see them, you liable to go in the mall and some of them still together, and they all from like different graduating classes, but the one thing that they have in common is what we built, the family and the memories that we built there. So that's definitely like holds my heart warm. Yeah, it's definitely that.
Okay. Coach, describe your coaching style in one word.
I gotta kind of put together two, but I'll say dog mentality. Dog mentality.
Okay, yeah. We're gonna call that one today.
Yeah.
Dog mentality. Okay,
dog mentality.
Do it. Elaborate a little bit.
So I say all the time, in order to play for me, you gotta have a dog mentality. You gotta want it more than the guy in front of you. And I say that because, as athletes, we're competing, for scholarships, and me being, I call myself all the time like a player's coach, because I know what it's like to be in that role of a player and what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to accomplish. And I said that to say it is hundreds of thousands of kids that had the same goal, that they want, they want this from the game, So what do you bring that's different from all these other kids that want the same thing? And a lot of times what separate the kids is just strictly mentality. Do you want it more than the guy that's in front of you? So when I say my coaching philosophy is dog mentality, I don't even think you could play. You'll have the roughest time ever playing for me if you don't got that dog in you. So from the time that we step on the court, and the time I'm in practice, even preparation for practice is a mentality that I got going to it. I think you gotta love the process. You gotta love to get after it. You gotta love to dive for loose balls. You gotta love the rebounds. You gotta love all the little intricacies of the game that make you successful that isn't talked about. You gotta love the jogs that we go on. You gotta love the weights that we lift. You gotta love that. You gotta love that part of the game. You gotta love stopping the guy in front of you. I think that's the thing that you gotta have. That's definitely my coaching mentality. And I think that's what I found success with as a player. Having that mentality, and that's what I found success with as a coach, having that mentality. Yeah.
Okay. Who would you say shapes your coaching philosophy?
Who would shape it? I would say I'm a good blend of, I got that dog mentality from base. I want to be the teacher that Roger was, Coach Dickens. I try to enforce good moral principles like Coach Carter. The zero tolerance like Bucky Lee. And it's so funny, but I like to keep our atmosphere like Coach Murdoch, man. I think he was definitely and God bless Coach Murdoch's soul as well, man. He was one of the funnest coaches to play for. Crazy with them baseball bats and shit, but he was fun to play for. And he really cared. He would give us his last out his pocket to make sure that we ate, make sure that we got home. So I try to embody all of that into what Coach B is.
Okay. Rest in peace, Coach Murdoch.
Yes, indeed.
What would you say is the biggest misconception of coaching?
The biggest misconception is it's just about the basketball game. It's really not about basketball. I think I got this saying where I say change moves at the speed of trust. When you're trying to change a kid or change their mindset or change wins and losses in a program, you gotta be trusted. Like the kids gotta trust that you really care about them. You know what I'm saying? Like I know I say all the time, like a lot of my kids will run through a brick wall if you tell them, and that's not because they trying to win this game so bad. It's because, you gotta have a belief in them. A belief in what that you believe that might not even believe in themselves or their abilities or what they could do. You know, so I definitely think one of the biggest misconceptions is that people think you're just coaching there to get wins. You know, coaching just period to get wins and losses. Sometimes I tell everybody, if we never would have won any regional championships or never got all those basketball accolades, and we had 100 scholarships academic, that's my win right there. Right. You know what I mean? What am I doing as a coach to make you successful as a young man? You know, and I think that even when you're in that type of atmosphere, high school, you know, you're not even limited to your team. You know, it's some of the young ladies that play for the girls team that at the season, I'm working them out. I'm calling coaches about them. You know, so I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions that, you know, parents could look and sometimes they follow the ball too much and not following the game plan of what this particular individual, the passion that they have for your child, you know, as opposed to this team over here, they good. You know, they winning. Yeah, they winning. But when that next kid come that's better than your kid on the court, does that coach still really care about your kid? You know, so.
Okay. So how do you earn the trust of your players?
I believe, you know, trust is earned through trials. You know, they got to believe, you know, we lost a kid, Stephen Wheeler. He got murdered a few months back, you know, and one thing that I told all of them, we were talking at the funeral, and me and his mom still text. I told them, don't ever think that you're in a situation you can't dial my number. You know, it's not basketball, you know, and what I say, the trust is earned. And you know, I think it really just goes down to you get into certain situations, you let them know it's bigger than basketball. You know, it's not, and I think that makes the basketball part easy. You know, if you haven't eaten that day, hit my phone. You know, if you ain't got no money, you ain't got no deodorant, you forgot your deodorant in school, you're a little funky. I got some deodorant down the locker room, go put some deodorant on. You know, it's just that the little things. You know, it might seem something small, but it's like Coach care. You know what I'm saying? I see everybody at the school, we in study hall, he got a chicken box, he got this, and you try and get some fries because you ain't got no money. It's like, no, go ahead in the cabinet, we got some food in there for you to eat. You know, so it's those type of things, you know. You see they can't afford to get the tennis shoes or the sweatsuit. You know, you see those things as a coach. You ain't got to tell the mom, you ain't got to tell the team, oh, he ain't paying for his. No, we got you. Go in there and get your sweatsuit. You know, get your tennis shoes.
Right.
You know, so it's those type of things where it's just, you know, you just showing up more than just a basketball coach. You know, like you know, AAU world is those. I gotta pick you up from here, drive past my house to take you to the game, drive back past my house, take you home just to get to my house. Mm-hmm. You know, at the while those things, you know, I think show the kids that, you know, like, oh, they really care. It's not just about the sport.
Yes, sir. What did you learn from your playing days that you still use today?
From my playing days that I still use today is, you know, 94 feet, man. That's all I can think about. 94 feet. You know, I still do that in the 40 and over league, man. I push up 94 feet just by nature, you know. I believe if you can guard somebody, it's kind of like being a boxer. Like 94 feet for me is like a jab. You know, it's like you just working your jab. All game long, you working your jab. And after a while, you see mediocre to guards that aren't as like polished or, you know, as strong-minded. After a while, they kind of start breaking down. You know, guards that are in it, you know, they can handle it, you know. But I'll definitely say, like, you know, even when I coach my teams, it's like, all right, let's see what that guard can do 94 feet for a whole game. Might not, first quarter might be good, second quarter might be good. Midway through that third, stuff start changing. You know, you see I'm saying them come off the ball. But, you know, honestly, for me, in 40 over now, just like testing my shape to see what type of shape I'm in. So, but, you know, yeah, I definitely say from my younger days to now is 94 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
What makes a player coachable for Coach B?
Coachable? Just come in the gym with wanting to be better. Come in the gym wanting to be better. Be able to take tough coaching. You know what I mean? Because I think that says something about your mentality. And just come in the game, you know, wanting to be coachable and wanting to get to the next level. And I think just be a sponge, man. Be a sponge.
Okay. Do you find some of your wins and losses outside of basketball?
Well, I wouldn't say, so I'll say that there's never losses, always lessons. You know what I mean? You know, we don't never know when God's preparing us for, you know, what we look at as a loss, but it's for a greater cause. You know, so you know, even in the what we look at as losses, you know, my prayer to God is always, God, show me the bigger picture. You know, whatever I'm going through right now, or whatever that situation was, what are you preparing me for? You know, if you can give me a sneak peek of what you're preparing me for, I could probably understand the trial a little bit better. When it comes with wins, I think what I'm learning now is to celebrate wins more. You know, I think our life gets so busy and I have my hands in so much that, you know, I try to take time now to celebrate the wins. Like one of the things I'm very proud of is my Baltimore Bearcat program, um, where it's my youth football program, and we've been achieving a lot over the years, man. And you know, it's come with some adversity. You know, anytime you're dealing with parents and you know our culture, you know, it comes with you know a lot of things. You know, but I think you know having a sound heart, a good heart, you know, and God ultimately being the one that you know your purpose and your reason behind everything, you get supported that way, you get blessed that way, you know. So I try to always keep pure intentions and stuff like that. So we've been able now, with the help of Rex and Parks with Baltimore City, we get the new turf field up there. So I'm super ecstatic about that. And you know, honestly, just man, one of the things that I do that I don't think nobody even recognizes when I'm there, like, is at times that I step on the field and I'm watching all the teams practice and the kids run around, and I'm just like, man, God, thank you for using me. You know what I'm saying? That you giving me, that you put me in this position, and I know my intent, you know, and I know I got a good heart about what I'm doing. Thank you for using me. You know what I'm saying? That I get to see this. You know, not to get credit for it or anything like that, but thank you for allowing me to have this experience for all these kids. Like, you know, I even look at the kids now that came from our program that's in college, potential, we got a couple potential NFL draft picks that might be coming out next year. And I'm just like, man, I got to be around those kids and had this experience, you know. And the same thing even with me coaching my Be More Finest / Thrill kids and my Mellow kids. When you talk about like Jarris Walker and Maul, who just transferred to Villanova, you know, it's just like, you know, just as much as you're a part of their story, but they're a part of my story as well too, you know. So I'm glad I got to be in that position to have those experiences. So they're the wins for me when I see their success. You know, when I see their success, that's the win for me.
Okay. What role does your faith play in your coaching?
Everything. I think you know, everything, man. I give everything back to God, man. You know, I just think that, you know, He has always been, you know, my guiding light through everything through life. You know, so when I say what role He plays, I say He plays a role in my life daily. You know, daily. You know, I just fresh from church. You know what I mean? I had to shoot home, change my stuff up because we just had a little fellowship dinner. But you know, I'm heavy on my spirituality. I'm heavy on my faith. Heavy on my belief. You know, I know that, you know, God has always been instrumental in my life from a kid. You know, I'm that kid that, you know, me and my mom were homeless. You know, we were, you know, when we was living down Lim Street, we from this house to that house to, you know, it was a point in time where I said I didn't even know we was homeless. You know, we was actually sleeping on some steps near the underpath where, you know, I thought that we was over her friend's house. You know what I mean? Just, you know, burning time. You know what I mean? Just kicking it, you know. But realistically, me being an adult now, it's like, oh, dang, we ain't nowhere to go. I thought we was waiting for your friend to come to the door. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you know, I know God had us, you know, because I'm here today. And I know when I say like the bigger picture, you know, it's no losses, only lessons. What I say I got from that was I can recognize the kids that were me. You know, so now all these kids that I'm around now, I know the signs of being hungry. I know the signs of the non-support. I know the signs of like, oh, this kid not getting the proper support that he need. Now I can see those signs because I was that kid, and now I can insert myself into that kid, into that family's life to say, you know what, we might not even mention it, but I know what you're going through. Let me see how we can help. You know, so yeah, definitely. So my faith is everything.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
What would you say is the heart of a champion?
Heart of a champion. Man, I think resilience, man. I think resilience. When I think of heart of a champion, I just think of You got to be able to face adversity and keep going. You know what I mean? Every great story, every great champion has faced some type of adversity and has found a way to overcome it and just keep pressing and keep going. You know, so I think those that don't have it, they just get to that wall and don't know how to overcome that barrier. But a champion's heart, you know how to get past that barrier.
Okay. What is one of Coach B's?
Shut the lights off in this joint.
What is one of Coach B's go-to messages? That message that all the kids know you by, or one of your messages in the huddle, up, down, whatever. What's that go-to message, Coach? The one the kids be talking about, Coach. What's that message, Coach?
You know what's so crazy? I think my messages be changing, but one thing they say all the time, I don't even be recognizing. They be like, we know we messed up because you'll be stomping your foot like, yo, come on with that shit, man. So, I think that's kind of my thing, but I say, what I always try to say is I always like, keep pushing. You know what I mean? Because I think that whether you, up or down or whatever, you just got to keep on, keep pushing, be consistent. And I think what my keep pushing is keep being like, keep coming. Whatever run we need or whatever that we on, whatever, we just got to keep pushing. You know what I mean? So I think that's definitely my message. You know what I mean? And I say every time I bring my teams back for the game, I say bring your dog. You know what I mean? Bring your dog upstairs with you. Bring your dog out the car. Don't leave it at home. Bring your dog with you.
Bring your dog with you. I like that. That might be my new one.
No doubt. You can have that.
Bring your dog with you. Yes, sir. Tell us about a game you wish you could have back.
Game I wish I could have back. Man, I honestly say out of any game in the world, from a coaching standpoint or player, I got
either
one.
one.
So, player, I wish I could go back to BCCC, my first year that we lost in the regional, because we knew we had beat the number 2 team the night before, and if we'd have beat that team, which was the number 1 team, which is Beaver, we know like everything else was smooth sailing. We had the number 1 and number 2 team in the nation in our region, which was crazy. That we knew if we caught that, it was a national championship. I think looking back at it, that first half, I hit 4 threes. I hit 4 threes in the first half. In the second half, I know Rajvi was winning, and I love Dupree, that's my heart. But Dupree had 3 turnovers in the last couple minutes, and I remember Raj leaning over the pump and was like, "Should we go, Brandon? Should we go, Brandon? Should we go, Brandon?" And I was hearing the conversation, and Pump like, "Yeah, I'm telling you, man, let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon." And I remember the kid from Beaver hit a 3 to put them up 2. This is after we lost our lead and all of that. And I went to Roger, and I was like, "Man, you gotta get me in the game. And he put me in the game. Me knowing the relationship I had with Raj and them, and it was a respect thing too. Me knowing the relationship that I had with Raj and how he viewed me, I should have went over there sooner. When I heard them talking, I should have said, "You can trust me. You can trust me with this." You know what I mean? Keep in mind, I'm only high school kid on the team, so I understand the mentality. You got vets, But I wish in that moment I would have told him, like, trust me. I got trust me. Yeah, I got you, So now what I've learned from that as a coach is trust your players. Some players are built for those moments, So it's all the time. I love a player to give me some good dialogue and let me know what you see. I never wanted to be that coach who would just shut up and do what I say do. In a respectful player coach manner. Tell me what you see. Tell me in this situation why you want me to go with you right now. So my mind reflects on that and be like, I remember I was that kid that wanted that moment. So in those moments, I'm open to that. Yeah.
Okay. So when they finally did sub you in,
man, we still ended up losing, man. That was my point. We lost a 7-point lead. But it wasn't bad because I think what happened, my mentality was I was 4 for 4 from hitting threes the first half. So the second half, what they was doing was they was just doubling BJ off the ball. As soon as he caught the ball, they would double him. And then with Zonk, they would double the post. They was inviting everybody else to shoot. So I was saying, if anything else,
Put me back in.
put me back, let me stretch the floor
Right.
so they could get off, Yeah.
Okay. How has coaching changed you as a person?
Man, I think it just gave me a heart for others, man. I think in order to be a great coach, you got to be understanding of your players, of their parents, and I think it gives you kind of like an insight to different families, different kids, and stuff like that. So I think honestly, it just provides a platform for you to network with more kids and parents. And don't get me wrong, like everybody that you have kind of come under your leadership, your coaching, isn't good relationships all the time either. But I think the good outweighs the bad. Some people are there just to take advantage. And you gotta understand that as well too. That comes with it. Some people just want you to take care of their kid, feed their kid, do whatever. Or what opportunities do you have that they can leverage you? Like, okay, I'm gonna just utilize your network, your resources, and all right, we got everything we need. All right, coach, thank you. What's your name again, coach? You like, But long story short, that comes with it. That's why I say you just move with a good heart.
Take us through your most important comeback.
Most important comeback. I got this kid named Charles that's gonna die laughing when I tell this story, right? So my first year there, we playing Chesapeake. First year at Lock Raven, we playing Chesapeake High School. Chesapeake now at that point in time was like 16-1. A crazy record. We in there. It's senior night. They put us on their senior night intentionally. Like we was in the middle of the schedule. They moved Lock Raven to the end. Like, oh yeah,
The first season.
Yeah, we blow Lock Raven out. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, this is gonna be senior night, right? Mm-hmm. And Kevin, this is my boy now. He was a coach at the time. He wasn't my boy then. This is my first time meeting him. So long story short, so we playing. We going to halftime. We down 21 points ahead. And I'm living in the locker room. We ain't been down 21 the whole year. And they really, to me, weren't like a Delaney at the time that had 4 Division I players. Newtown, 4 Division I players. We lost to Newtown by 13. We lost to Delaney by 8. We playing Chesapeake, down 21 at half. So, I'm in the locker room throwing shit around. I done lost my shit. This the game that's gonna get me fired if anybody got a video camera. You know what I mean? I'm like, there's all types of stuff going on. Whatever was saying in that locker room, we would leave with the ears and minds of the people that was in that locker room. Then we come out the locker room. They taking long. Super long with senior night at halftime. Man, we chilling. Probably about another 20 minutes on their senior night. After that, I already gave them a Kirk out in the locker room. So I take them back to the locker room, have another session. You see, I told you I ain't never respect this school. This is why this. Kirk all out. Man, and I invite anybody to look at YouTube, because I think it's on YouTube now. Man, we end up coming back, beating them dudes in the last seconds of the game. You talking about the most lit bus ride that I ever experienced. I usually had the kids calm down, sit down on the bus rides home. Man, I ain't even care. I say, man, y'all go up. That was only their second loss of the season. And I think like a moment like that just, it just infused something in our program. Like at that point in time, we had a freshman, Cortez, as well too. And Cortez, he ended up going to St. Francis on the COVID year. And now he's across seas playing. But that was his freshman year. But when I tell you, Cortez, Charles, and them dug down and they just went crazy that second half. I was like, man, they disrespect me. That's why I ain't never care about Lock Raven. This, that, never. They put y'all on this night. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was probably my, that's the story that resonates in my mind when I think about that. Yeah.
Shout out to Charles and Cortez.
Yep.
Yeah. What was your proudest moment as a coach?
Proudest moment? I say, it's all on the same level of seeing all the kids make it to college with either academic or athletic money. I think like when we do like the signing day and, seeing Tyler go to York, seeing Wayne go to Towson, seeing, I don't want to miss nobody, but Sean go to Goucher, like, that's me doing what I need to do to get them where they need to be. You know, all the time it isn't even in college. We had a kid named Tron that played with us, and he had no intention. All his layups that he made, them joints went straight out the backboard. Like them joints was like, he'd go down, we'd be like, yo, is he gonna make it? Is he gonna miss it? He's like, damn, he missed it again. You know, but we knew he wasn't gonna play basketball in college, but we always want to help like all of our kids. So another proud moment I'll say is once he was done with high school, you know, he was like, Coach, I don't want to go to college. You know what I mean? He actually was taking care of his little brother at the time. He was hustling. But one of my coaches, Coach Marty Knox, my guy, we started looking at CDL programs. You know, he's like, well, look, man, get your CDLs. Like, you know, do something like this would be productive. And Tron went and got his CDLs, man. You know, so like those moments are the moments where I'm like, yeah, it's all worth it. You know, those are the moments.
Shout out to Tron.
Yeah, that Tron.
That Tron. Okay, Coach. I would do anything. So we got this segment called "I would do anything to beat these SOBs." Come on, man. This ain't the humble hour, man. You know where we from. You know how it go. You just said 94 feet. That's the kind of attitude this segment coming with. Man. Who is them SOBs, Coach? They get on your nerves. You can't stand them. The parents on the sideline cussing you out. They just belligerent. Who is that team, Coach?
As a coach, I can honestly say, I gotta say Parkville. When I was at Lock Raven, it was Parkville, man. And I said that because I ain't care about no county rivalry coming from the city. They even was telling me like, yeah, man, you know our rival is Parkville. I'm like, man, ain't no rival. Like, rival is where, you know, I was at Northern and being in Southwest at the free throw line, and a nigga telling me, if you make this free throw, we're going to kill you when you get outside. That's a rivalry, you know what I mean? Down to my guard brother Black saying, you know, he went to Southwest, and he was like, no, not that when you not that when he, and they like, oh, Black, that's your guard brother? He like, yeah. He like, all right, shorty good. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, damn, they going to kill me for making the free throw out this motherfucker. But long story short, we caught Southwestern too, so they know. We caught Earl and them too, by the way, when I was at Northern. But it was definitely Parkville, man. And I said that because, man, like I didn't really even think it was a rivalry until I got in it, you know. And then I got in it, and the crowds was like chanting, and you know they got their different chants for, you know, Lock Raven, sorry and shit, blah blah blah. I said, oh man. And then the crazy part is I'm actually good friends with the dude that was the coach at the time was Josh. But I ain't even like yo at this, you know, that the handshakes was a little weird. I'm like, oh, y'all really take this serious out here. You know, we from the city. I'm like, oh, this some county. Like, oh, y'all really doing this out here. So, the last 2 years, you know, we beat them. You know, we beat them or whatever. But to make a long story short, I ain't never want to drop no games against them.
Okay. All right, so we're going to point at the camera. We're going to let them know I would do anything to beat.
I would do anything to beat Parkville on any given night. Whether it's at Parkville, Lock Raven, at a side court, KFC, I don't care where we at. Anything to beat Parkville.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, Coach. In your next 5 years, right? Where would you want to see yourself?
Next 5 years? Healthy, man. Just healthy and be able to make memories. You know, whatever God got for me, you know, in his plans, you know, I'm open to it, you know. And wherever that might be, you know, I'm one of those ones where it's like I just pray that God keep me in his will. You know, so I just want to be healthy, man. I think health is one of those things that you can't buy it, you know. So I just pray that you know, God keeps me healthy, that I'm around to make memories. And whatever he has for me, you know what I'm saying? I'm willing to accept it. You know, I know that's just going to be my story, you know. So, yeah, I always say health, man. Healthy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you just resigned or took some time off from over at Lock Raven. Mm-hmm. And I know you're definitely not done with coaching. You're a young fella, right? Yeah. So maybe in the future, 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, 30, when it's all said and done, mm-hmm. what would you want your legacy to be?
That I had a passion and love for kids, for people, that I was a stand-up dude, that he was a God-fearing man, and he did whatever for the people that he loved. You know what I mean? It's no bottom to what I would go to, and no end I would go to for the people that I love. Yeah.
Alrighty. Coach B, man, thank you for being here today, man.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, George, thanks for having me too, man.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for having me, bro.
Yes, sir. I got one last question.
Okay.
That's gonna be the last question, but I'm gonna mix this other one in there. So you are you was one of the best coaches around, especially in the county league. So I just want to ask you. I know people been reaching out to you. Is there anything that you possibly can, any of the offers? I know you got 10 to 20. I mean, is there anything that you can possibly, give us a little bit of wind of, that might be coming about in the future, or just some of the things that you may want to dive into?
Yeah, so I'll say, like I was saying, I think I'm more so, I'm not opposed to, so some of the things I've turned down some high school jobs, I've turned down a couple college positions, because I it has to align with my passion, and my passion being to help kids, not a financial thing for me. I think that if an opportunity comes along where I can align the passion and ability to help the kids that's under my leadership, and that aligns with that of the school, and we still on that same we had that same vision, and we're on that same tip of like, okay, collectively as a community, we're going to help these kids to the next level and become great young men, great contributors to society. I'm definitely open to returning into coaching, and I do have something that I'm looking into that I think might align with that. And we want to see where, through some prayer, because I believe God is definitely my guiding light. And if he, puts that on my heart to accept this, then that's what I'm going to do.
Okay. So hopefully, by the time this airs, we can have that, that insight and that, that team or program that you, want to embark on.
Yep, you'll get the text first.
Yes, sir. All right.
And you can put it out there, and I'll say, you heard it here first. You'll get the first.
Okay. All right, cool. No problem. Give me 1 second.
All right.
1 second. Coach.
Yep.
On behalf of the Crew Channel.
Oh man, love.
And Coach's Corner, we'd like to present you your flowers, baby.
Oh man, that's love, man. That's love. Fresh flower Sundays.
We got gold whistle for you.
Oh man, that's dope. That's
Yes,
dope, man.
Yes,
I'm walking out with my
Coach
whistle
B.
on, man.
Yes, sir. Let me get a good picture of you, baby.
That's dope, man.
Yes, sir. Coach B, baby. Appreciate you.
Love. Thanks, George, man. That's love, man. Love what you doing, bro. Love what you doing, man. Love what you doing.